What up guys, Joachim here, and in this video we're going to talk about this little hand symbol that Christ is making in this icon. You can see it's the icon of Jesus, and he has this little symbol that he's making with his hands, and somebody asked me the other day, what is that? What does that mean? Actually, I'm sorry, they actually didn't ask about that. They ask about this symbol, just this symbol in general. So iota, and then you see it's like it's like ICXC. These are Greek letters. So the first one's an iota, and then the next one's a final sigma. So in Greek, it's kind of similar to Hebrew in some ways, where if some of the letters, when they are at the end of a word, they will actually be shaped a little bit differently than when they're in the middle or the beginning of a word. So you've probably seen sigma on like college fraternity things. It kind of looks like an E in English, but when it's in the lowercase form, it is it really looks more like this. Or if it's in the end of a word, it'll actually have a little loop going down. It almost looks like an S. So, in English, it would actually look like the letter that of the sound it makes, the S sound. So, but this symbol, the ICXC, is Greek, meaning Yesu Christou. So the X looking thing in Greek, it makes a ch sound, like it just makes a ch sound. So usually we write that as an H maybe, or as a CH sometimes, when Greek words get kind of transliterated into English. So the top part means Jesus Christou, and the bottom means it says Nika. So it's the letters, these actually in English share the same sounds that they are in Greek when they're in the capital form, and it means victory or conquers. So it means Jesus Christ conquers, or Jesus Christ is victorious. And you can see it's in a variety of different forms there, but the two are connected because this symbol that we see Christ making here, he's making that with his fingers. So he's blessing you with his name, Jesus Christ, because he is the high priest. He is the great high priest who sits enthroned at the right hand of the Father. And so I pulled up a variety of different pictures where you kind of see it. It's kind of hard. Sometimes the way the icons are drawn, they don't exactly express that, but that's kind of the idea. Is like his thumb is crossing his index finger, and then the first finger, the pointer finger, I guess, is making the iota. So it's iota, and then the sigma with the middle finger, and the thumb and the index finger are crossing each other to make the ch for the the X looking letter, and then the last one is bent a little bit to kind of make the sigma. And you also see that at the top of the icons up there, so it says Yesu Christou, not spelled out, but just abbreviated. And you see it in other icons. I pulled this one up. This was of St. Nicholas, making the same symbol here. And that was just a close-up of it, so you can kind of see the idea. And then that also appears... before I go any further, I wanted to go to a passage of Scripture. So this is actually from the book of Numbers in chapter 6. I'm in the Orthodox Study Bible here. You can see Numbers chapter 6. And you go down to the bottom. It says the priest's blessing. I want to read that for a moment because I think it's related. At verse 22, it says, "Again the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron and his sons, saying, This is the way you shall bless the children of Israel. Say to them, My name shall be put on the children of Israel, and I, the Lord, shall bless them. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you, and be merciful to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace." So this would be said by the high priest in the presence of the people, uniquely the high priest, not the Levitical priesthood, but Aaron and his sons. So the Levitical priests, the high priests, and Christ is the high priest. So when we see him with making this symbol, he is placing his name upon those who stand in front of and venerate the icons. When the priest stands up several times during the service of the liturgy, when you go to an Orthodox church, he will make this symbol because he is Christ in that moment. He is representing Christ. He is standing there as Christ to those who will partake. So he is placing the name of Christ upon the people. And the reason you see it in a lot of the other icons is because when we look at icons, every icon is of Christ. So this is an icon of St. Nicholas. But the reason that St. Nicholas is a saint is because he was conformed into the image of Christ. We don't venerate and honor him just because he was a cool dude, and we like cool dudes that do really neat things. We venerate them because they they were representative of Christ. So when we look at the icons of these people, we see the face of Christ shining through them. That's kind of part of the idea of them having the halo around their head. You see, like, that's in the thing in all of the icons. There's some degree of a halo there, and that is because they are Christ. And then the last thing I wanted to show was the lamb. So this is what is the communion is served with, the Eucharist, we would say, and it has that symbol as well. So you can see this is actually in capital letters. So this is capital sigma, iota capital sigma, and so you see that over and over again. And this, you notice that it's actually leavened bread. So the ancient tradition of Christians was that the Eucharist was served with leavened bread. We used leavened bread because Christ was risen, and we not under the old Exodus, but under the new Exodus, the new Pascha. So in the Passover service, they used unleavened bread because of the flight that took place from Egypt when Moses and the Israelites fled from Pharaoh, and they went out, they crossed the Red Sea, and God destroyed the Egyptians who came after them. And then they went to Sinai from there. And so that was the unleavened bread. Well, in the Christianity, we began to, this was the new Passover, or in Greek we say Pascha, the new Pascha, and with this we used leavened bread after the same manner, after the same symbol, the same idea that Christ now was risen. He was no longer dead, but he was victorious. He was Nika. He, sat at the right hand of the Father and would come again with glory to judge the living and the dead. So when they use the bread, and the Orthodox Church has maintained this tradition since the beginning, since the apostles began to serve the Eucharist, since the whole, you can read about it in the Scripture. Paul talks about it fairly extensively in the book of Corinthians, and I know he mentions it in several other books. But now the Western Church began to move away from this tradition, and they did that because I think it was the Franks. They actually pushed for the Pope to return to unleavened bread after the manner of the old Passover, because that was what was commanded in the Old Testament. And our tradition grew from that as a fulfillment of that. So we don't follow it after the old tradition. We follow it after the risen Christ. So that's why I can't speak to why they chose to do that, or what the idea was, other than that I knew it was some of the pressure from Frankish noblemen. But I don't really know all the details about it. I just know that it's different. And so obviously for Orthodox Christians, we use leavened bread in our Eucharist services and when we take communion. But I think that kind of summed up everything that I had to say about that. I hope you guys found it informative. My battery's apparently running low. And you guys take it easy, and I will talk to you in another video coming very soon.